In 2004, Mark Zuckerberg and his colleagues altered the landscape of all social interaction. With the creation of Facebook, the internet and social media took a huge leap into the spotlight of our lives. With the latest statistics showing that 955 million of us have a Facebook account, it's fair to say we are all connecting and sharing our lives more so than any time in the past.
Hold your truth so purely. Swerve not through their minds.
With Facebook, Twitter and YouTube increasingly becoming woven into our personal lives, it's not hard to imagine how powerful and influential social media is. People can broadcast almost anything and have their views reach an endless amount of people. In July this year, a simple 14-minute video was uploaded to YouTube. The clip was titled "Innocence of Muslims," and it was centered around anti-Islamic views. In little under 2 months, the clip reached 16 million viewers, and the response from the Islamic and non-Islamic communities was extensive. On the 15th of September 2012, protests were held in Sydney, New South Wales by Muslims. While the protests started peacefully, violent confrontations between police and protesters began once the protesters reached the US consulate. In resulting clashes, 6 police officers and 19 protesters were injured. The violence was condemned by Australian politicians such as PM Julia Gillard, as well as Muslim individuals within the community. Since the riots, police have arrested 9 protesters in connection with the violence. But the Australian media's coverage of the riots demonstrates the typical bias of Islam. ABC series The Hamster Wheel was able to demonstrate the clear bias of the news coverage within Australia towards Islam, given that on the same weekend a similar riot broke out in Perth. Although this riot received hardly any news coverage, while the Islamic riots took the centre stage. This bias is clearly pushing the agenda of Islamophobia within Australia, as the other riot did not involve other Muslims. Let's view the segment from The Hamster Wheel now.
The Muslim protests were extreme. There were hundreds of people drawn there by social media. They threw bottles and rocks, and special police were called in to disperse them. That does not happen in Australia, except for the very same weekend in Perth.
Police in Perth were pelted with bricks, rocks and glass bottles. Around 500 people turned up in Piara Waters after word spread on Facebook. Officers called in reinforcements, including mounted police, the dog squad and the police helicopter to disperse the crowd.
Sounds like it has all the hallmarks of an uprising.
No, these weren't Muslims. No, so this was
out-of-control party in the city's southeast.
It was an out-of-control party, which is why it was reported once and then immediately forgot.
The Western image of Islamic beliefs and Muslims as individuals is very distorted in the media. So much so that the terms Muslim, extremist and terrorist have become interchangeable. It seems that extremist groups who occupy a very small minority of Muslims have come to over-represent an entire religion. This bias is also evident in the Muslim riots in Sydney. ABC journalist Jamelia Rivsi commented on the riots, stating, "I was there early in the day, and the protest looked very different to what we are seeing on TV. It was much larger, and it looked peaceful. It seems the protest moved into a much smaller one, where a very small minority of who were originally there have become violent and out of control." The heavy exposure of groups such as Al-Qaeda in the media has developed a terrorist Islamic stigma. Just like Al-Qaeda is the minority, the violent protesters in the Sydney riots got far more news coverage than the peaceful ones. This is regardless of the fact that they were the minority. The majority, however, were peaceful. And so the media's news coverage is really pushing for this terrorist stigma within society because of the over-representation of certain individuals and groups, even though a majority might disagree with their actions. We've seen the reaction from the YouTube video The Innocence of Muslims. So it's not really hard to imagine the good that social media could do and just how powerful this tool is. We could use social media as a means to encourage peace, and taking a page out of the Catholic Church's ideals, to encourage social ecumenism. The ecumenical movement is the search for unity amongst churches. According to the Catholic Church, it aims to promote the recovery in thought, in action and in organisation of the true unity between churches' mission to the world and the church's obligation to be one. Ecumenism is the promotion of unity or cooperation between distinct religions. So society could use these fundamental points of ecumenical thinking and apply these to not only religious forms but social forms. And social media is one of the most powerful tools we have at the moment. And as its users, we own the social media and it is what we make of it. We can decide what kind of footprint we want the social media to leave, whether it's one that encourages peace and unity between people, ecumenical thinking, or one that is used, like it has been, to insult other people and only drive wedges between different cultures further.